He proposed to me with a fake ring and a fake life. Original post. Hi, Reddit. I, 28F, never thought I'd be one of those people posting here, but my life has turned into a psychological thriller, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. I need advice, validation, or just to get this out somewhere that isn't my journal. 2 years ago, I met Ethan, 31M, at a friend's wedding. He was everything you dream of in a partner: charming, intelligent, and effortlessly confident. He worked in finance, or at least that's what he told me, running a small investment startup. I was in marketing, so we seemed like a power couple from the outside. But apparently, appearances were his entire game. The first year was perfect. He gave me flowers on random weekdays, whisked me away on spontaneous trips, and made dinner reservations at places I couldn't even pronounce. He constantly reassured me that we were made for each other. I should have noticed the red flags. The way he always paid but never let me see receipts, how his office kept changing addresses, and that he refused to introduce me to his parents. But love has a funny way of making you blind. Then came the proposal. Santorini, sunset, champagne, violins, the works. He got on one knee with what I thought was the most beautiful ring I'd ever seen. I cried. I said yes. He said, "Welcome to your dream life." Spoiler, it wasn't mine. Afterward, the perfect Ethan started showing cracks. I noticed inconsistencies in his stories about the startup, odd credit card statements, and his phone constantly face down. When I gently asked about meeting his parents, he waved it off with, "They're private people. It's complicated." I dismissed the niggling doubts. Love made me stupid. Then came the first red flag I couldn't ignore. My best friend Clara, bless her nosy heart, did a reverse image search of the ring. It turned out to be replica jewelry, a $149 costume ring from Etsy. I didn't care about the money, I cared about the lie. So I confronted him, and he laughed. I mean, literally laughed, said, "You always cared more about appearances than reality." I didn't understand what he meant. 2 days later, he ghosted me. When he came back, he had flowers and an apology. He said he'd been testing me, that he wanted to see if I loved him or the image of him. He promised to get me a real ring soon. And here's the part where I made a choice I now question. I said yes, because I still loved him, but I had this pit in my stomach. I started wondering, would I be the asshole for breaking up with Ethan for lying and ghosting me? I knew I should walk away, but I kept rationalizing. Maybe he's stressed. Maybe he truly is just complicated. Maybe I'm overreacting. I agreed to stay, though doubt lingered. It's like standing on a ledge and telling yourself you'll jump later, but convincing yourself to stay one more day. I wanted to leave. I really did. But I didn't, and that's where everything spiraled. Update 1, 3 months later. Hi, Reddit. I wish I could say the doubts faded. They didn't. And now, I think the situation has escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. After the fake ring debacle, Ethan suggested couples therapy. I was skeptical, but I thought maybe structured guidance could help. The first few sessions were basic communication exercises. We discussed our feelings, our hopes, and even how we manage money. That part seemed okay. But then came the trust exercises. One assignment was to review a week of financial statements together. I noticed he always claimed certain transactions were confidential client obligations. When I pressed for details, he deflected. Some clients require absolute discretion. It's legal confidentiality. But the more we practiced exercises, the more he manipulated the rules. He'd write fake client notes, lose transaction records, and somehow make the therapist nod in agreement, praising his diligence and privacy concerns. It became painfully clear he was using therapy as a cover to hide financial manipulation, not fix anything. I caught glimpses of Venmo transactions and odd invoices while pretending to discuss budgets. Things I didn't understand at first, but my gut screamed. I wanted to leave after every session. I really wanted to. But I didn't. Somehow I stayed, convincing myself that therapy would help me see the real Ethan. Spoiler, it didn't. Meanwhile, his behaviors outside therapy were just as suspicious. Late nights at the office became weekly, sometimes twice a week. He avoided my questions about meetings or business calls, citing urgent matters or confidential investor discussions. I couldn't prove anything, but the tension in our home was unbearable. I'd lie awake at night debating, am I crazy? Am I being paranoid? Or is this really a sign that I should leave? I tried to anchor myself, reminding myself I had invested emotionally, socially, and financially. I rationalized staying. Maybe this is the cost of love. Maybe if I wait, things will clarify. But deep down, I felt trapped, like a bird in a gilded cage. One night, after a particularly tense session where the therapist unknowingly praised Ethan's commitment to confidentiality, I sat in our living room and thought, would I be the asshole for leaving now? I wanted to scream yes, but the fear of being alone, of being wrong in the eyes of everyone who had seen us as perfect, kept me silent. That's when I realized staying didn't feel like love anymore. It felt like endurance. Update 2, 6 months later. Hi Reddit. Buckle up. Things have unraveled in ways I couldn't imagine. I found out about Ethan's double life purely by accident. One evening, while checking my email for wedding vendors, a message popped up from a woman named Elise. She was confused and terrified. She had seen my engagement photos on Instagram, and she thought I was the other woman. We started talking. She shared screenshots of her messages, the same ring he'd given her, and overlapping dates of trips and business calls. At first, I couldn't breathe. I had suspected lies, but never anything like this. We compared timelines and discovered that for almost a year, he had been juggling 2 fiancés simultaneously, spinning nearly identical stories about startups and investor trips. He had recycled monologues and charm offensives, changing the city and names of colleagues to keep each of us in the dark. Then I dug deeper. I started tracking the confidential clients he had been hiding behind during therapy exercises. With Elise's help, we pieced together fake invoices, shell companies registered under different names, and bank transfers that were redirected into his personal account. He wasn't just lying romantically, he was using 2 relationships as a financial funnel. At this point, I stopped feeling hurt and started feeling strategic. If he was going to treat me like a pawn, I could at least play chess better. I meticulously documented everything, screenshots of his messages, emails, and bank transfers, copies of all the shell company registrations and dissolved business documents, a detailed timeline cross-referencing Elise's experience with mine. Then came the revenge. I didn't want petty, I wanted catastrophic. First, I anonymously sent all the documentation to his cousin, who had been one of his supposed investors. He froze Ethan's access to family funds immediately. Then I reached out to his current employer, a small consulting firm he'd joined under his real name. I compiled a full dossier showing fraudulent business claims, fake clients, and duplicate invoicing. Within days, he was escorted out and permanently banned from the firm. Meanwhile, Elise and I coordinated a public exposure, carefully, legally. We wrote a post on social media and tagged mutual friends and professional contacts, exposing the overlap, the fake rings, and the lies. People were stunned. Some had already admired him as the charming entrepreneur. Suddenly, he was a cautionary tale. Finally, I quietly packed my things from the apartment, leaving a note. Here's your real return on investment. Enjoy your new life, Ethan. I won't lie. It felt exhilarating. But more than revenge, it was liberation. Final update 1 year later. Hi Reddit. Last update, promise. It's been a year. I have my own apartment, a new career opportunity I love, and a rescue cat named Kashmir, because she's softer and more trustworthy than Ethan's morals. Therapy helped me rebuild boundaries, and revenge helped me reclaim confidence. Ethan tried to contact me 6 months after the exposure. He sent a long, self-pitying email about growth, reflection, and how he didn't mean to hurt anyone. I forwarded it to Elise. She responded with a single emoji, trash can. Last month, I learned via LinkedIn that he tried to launch yet another consulting firm. So, I anonymously sent the evidence package to his potential investors, all fake registrations, business documents, screenshots, and timelines. 2 weeks later, The company vanished from the internet. I don't know where he is now. Maybe he's starting over under a new identity. Maybe he's selling costume rings online. Doesn't matter. Because I'm finally free. And when people ask about my failed engagement, I smile and say, it wasn't a failure. It was a masterclass in spotting frauds. Sometimes revenge isn't about drama. Sometimes it's just living so well that the person who tried to break you ends up invisible in your shadow. Thanks for listening, Reddit. And if your fiancé ever says his business is too confidential to explain, remember, so is the truth he's hiding. OP out.